Welcome back to Books with Duddy. And I am back with a spoiler-free review of Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This is Rachel Harrison's newest horror book. I think it came out August or maybe even this month, September. But this is the first book I'm going to be doing in October, where I'll just be doing horror books for the month. This is the first book I've ever read by Rachel Harrison, and this will be a spoiler-free review, so let's get into it. Play Nice is about a family, the Barnes family, specifically Clio Barnes, who is I think she's the youngest sister in the family. I could be wrong on that, but there's three sisters, Clio, Lita, and Daphne. Clio is a social media influencer who, that's her job, and she's also a stylist. And the plot really starts where the family, Clio, finds out that her mother passed away. It's revealed that the family has been estranged from their mother. Their dad has remarried a long time ago, and none of the sisters really have had any contact with their mother because their mother believed in demons and that the house that they had lived in was haunted and all of that kind of stuff. So there was some trauma there. Clio, unlike her sisters or anyone else in the Barnes family, decides she wants to go to her mother's funeral and go back to the house that her mother still owned, that her mother had thought was haunted. And that's kind of the setup for our book. And overall, this book was a very mixed bag for me. I just didn't connect with the characters that well. There were very few characters that I liked. There were a couple. But for the most part, everyone just kind of sucked. And this is something I've found in a lot of horror books, is the characters just often aren't that sympathetic. And I found that to be the case with this one. But with that said, I couldn't put this book down. I loved the haunted house aspect of the book. There were definitely times when I had a clear visual in my head of what was happening and, why it was scary and, things that were happening in the house. Just the way it was done was atmospheric. And you felt that while reading it. And like I said, I moved through this book quickly because there isn't a lot of there is a little bit of downtime in the book as far as some other smaller threads other than this haunted house. But they were pretty minimal. Because the way that you kind of learn more about the past is Clio finds a book that her mother wrote and annotated, specifically directed at Clio. So Clio's kind of reading through this book about what happened in her childhood, which she doesn't really remember. And it was really interesting to hear about the childhood and what actually went on with their mother and why they became estranged. So that I really enjoyed. And a lot of this book isn't only about haunted house. All about, revolves around that and their mother, but it's really about family trauma and, how that affects people differently and how to confront that trauma. And I think the idea was really good in this book, but the execution at the end was in my opinion, just awful. The ending did not make sense to me. Things were going one way the entire book, and then right near the end, it was like everything or everybody just switched and went the other way. And there were some threads that shouldn't have allowed that to happen, in my opinion. But again, the story was interesting enough that I kept reading and I finished it. It's only, I think, a little less than 300 pages, so it's not a long read, and it definitely goes quick. So like I said, this was a mixed bag book for me. I'm going to give it a 5.8 out of 10. I think it's worth a read, especially if you're looking for like a newer horror book. If you've read this book, let me know what you thought in the comments. Interested to hear what other people thought about where this book went. But if you watch the song, I appreciate it. If you could like and subscribe, I'd appreciate that. I'll be back in a few days, or depending on when you're watching this, already out, with kind of my full reaction to spoilers and the ending and all that good stuff. So keep an eye out for that, and I hope to see you back soon.